I've had this desire for so long to see the people of God, including myself, come into a place with God where we hear God really clearly, and where we can tap into the voice of the Lord with, some of the ways that people tapped into the voice of God in the Old Testament, even, like Daniel and guys like that. They found something in God that, like, you ever read like the book of Daniel? We're going to read a little bit of Daniel tonight, and you see Daniel's relationship with God, and you're like, wait, I'm a new creation. I live in a better covenant. I could be moving in the Spirit like that. I could be directing kings, changing nations, doing wonders. And I was thinking about what Kris was sharing about wanting more of God, and I just have such a passion myself just to see God move in such dramatic ways. And I had this prophetic word. We've been seeing, I don't know what you want to call that. Sometimes it looks kind of like gold dust, and sometimes it kind of looks like a cloud. And somebody says, why does God do that? It's called a wonder. If you figured it out, it wouldn't be a wonder anymore. It'd be called a I know. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's called a wonder. Makes you wonder. As soon as you figure it out, the wonder isn't a wonder. This is so deep. I think it was maybe a year ago or so. We've been having these kind of encounters on and off for a while, but I was just in bed at night and I was praying. Just had woke up in the middle of the night. It wasn't like I was trying to be spiritual. I just actually couldn't go to sleep, and I was just thinking and praying. And I was thinking about what it would be like to be able to have signs and wonders at your disposal. Like, these signs will follow those who believe. And where you could go into the office of a mayor or governor or city official or whatever and say, I'm a woman of God, I'm a man of God, and I just want to prove it right now. There's going to be a pillar of fire show up just to let you know who I am. And then we'll have a conversation about some things I want to talk to you about. And I was dreaming like that, and I felt like the Lord said, I was dreaming out loud, and I was dreaming like that. I was thinking, like, these are really cool manifestations. Wouldn't it be cool if you were at city council meeting and all of a sudden the Lord just showed up in a gold, whatever that is, cloud around you? And I was thinking about, it's the New Testament equivalent to Moses's, plagues, where Moses could call for plagues and the plagues would happen. I'm like, we're in a new covenant. We're not calling for plagues. We're calling for wonders. And I just really feel like, this isn't my message, but I really feel like God is, maybe it is, who knows what I'm going to do. I don't even know. My job's so secret, I don't even know what it is. But I just think it would be, I think that God's taken us to this place where we're going to begin to move in signs and wonders. And it's not, like when we say signs and wonders, we typically mean healing, which is good. Obviously, if you're sick, it's really good. If your friend is sick, it's really, really good. So I don't want to diminish that. But when I think of signs and wonders, I think of that being something separate than healing. I think of it being something that says these signs follow those who believe. Like, people are going to know that you're a believer because these signs that God and wonders that God does when you're in their presence are going to validate, this is my servant and who I'm well pleased. And so I'm kind of excited about that myself. I'm waiting. I haven't seen that happen in that kind of atmosphere before. I haven't actually seen a sign like that. Like, I'm talking about like a pillar of fire or a cloud of gold, anything like that happen in a political governmental office or something like that. But I've been praying for him when we get in. Every time we're in one of those places, I'm like, this would be really cool right now. Like I don't know if you want to do it, but I want you to. I just actually want you to show off, and then let him know it's somehow related to me being here. we could kind of share the attention, you know. You could kind of show off, and then maybe it would be really cool if you showed up in a gold cloud and then said, "This is my beloved son." Listen to him. That would be so awesome. Wouldn't it? Seriously? I bet they'd listen, too, after that. You know, I've been doing a series on spiritual intelligence for a while, actually, and we did a little bit of it in the conference. How many of you were here for the conference? Okay, so you heard some of this about spiritual intelligence, and I'll just give you a little bit of a review, and then we'll touch on a few things that we didn't touch on and probably will be done. There's a lot of talk about obviously like IQ, your natural ability, your natural intelligence, and then if you've been reading leadership or business books in the last 15 years, you can't hardly ignore the subject of SQ, spiritual quotient. Your emotional intelligence. And there's just lots and lots of books on emotion. Anybody read any books on emotional intelligence? Very interesting. They're doing lots of scientific studies on emotional intelligence and how emotional intelligence affects your ability to lead, affects your ability to interact with people. And they're actually saying that now, I read a book recently that talked about emotional intelligence, and it said that most great leaders in history were more emotionally intelligent than they had high IQs. And so, but I want to talk about spiritual intelligence, and I shared this in the conference. So this part isn't new at all, and I just want to give you a little. This is a definition I wrote. This SQ, spiritual intelligence, is the ability to discern, perceive, and judge spiritual dimensions that are at work in and around you, and manage this realm towards a positive outcome. So let me read it to you one more time. The ability to discern, perceive, and judge the spiritual dimensions that are at work in and around you, and manage this realm towards a positive outcome. Now, tonight, you know, the little glory cloud, that was kind of cool. You don't need a lot of spiritual intelligence to see a gold cloud, you know, but how many of you understand that the Bible teaches us that we are not alone? I don't mean that we're not alone in this dimension, but literally that we live, we don't just inhabit this planet, we cohabit this planet. And we live with other beings on this planet who are called spirits. How many of you, you got that same look the conference had? They're like, this is called spiritual, and it means that you actually are a spirit that has a soul and that has a body. Simply put, you are a house for two spirits. Hopefully there's no more than that at home. There's your spirit and there's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit lives inside of you. Actually, your body is actually the temple of the Holy Spirit. Your body is actually the temple of your spirit. And so Paul talked about, in fact, he said this, Paul said in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22, he said that we would be renewed in the spirit of your mind. He said, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Say this, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. And this is another teaching, but I believe that your mind has three dimensions: spirit, soul, and body. I believe that your mind is influenced by all three dimensions. You know that if you take a drug or an illegal drug or whatever, or you have a chemical imbalance, that it affects the way you think, right? Or you don't get enough sleep, it affects the way you think. You know what I'm trying to say. And all I'm trying to say is that your mind is influenced. The way you think is influenced by the body. We know that, right? And your mind's influenced by the soul. If you go through a divorce or there's a betrayal or someone breaks your heart, it affects the way you think.